Hey, it's Miss Natty with Hudson Heart Real Estate Group coming to you guys with a live event. This is Co-Creating a Beautiful Life Series and Workshops number 18 with the amazing one and only Colton Lindsay.
Woo! Colton Lindsay! What's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? Hello again! All right, let's have some fun today.
What is it? What is it that you're going to be talking about?
Financial freedom
Okay.
is what we're just going to focus on today. Simple. How do you create financial freedom? And we look at today how much uncertainty is there in the world of money. Yes?
A lot.
Right. So I'm just going to teach you a simple system how you manage your money, number one. Number two, how do you actually create wealth? Because I think that's a confusing topic.
Yeah.
What is? People just don't know how to do it today.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it.
Right.
So.
I love that. Then at the very end, we're going to get a 15-minute little bonus breath work.
Woo!
So
Yeah,
for
we'll
those
do that.
of you that have never experienced breath work, we are excited for that and to be able to share that as well.
Cool.
So let's give it up for Colton.
What's up, everyone? So here's what I need today for everyone in here. Two things. One, participation. Okay. Two is the other thing is I need you guys to play full out. Okay. So what does participation look like? I need your engagement. What's the word?
Engagement.
I need you guys to engage with me. Otherwise, it just won't work. Cool?
Got it.
And play full out is be here, be present. Okay. If I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna give you my time. I want the same from you guys. Yes?
Yes.
And if you guys are watching on the Facebook internet, I don't know if anyone is or not, make sure that you're engaged in the comment section down below. Okay? So how many of you guys want more money in your life? Yes? Yes. Hello? Right? Yes. How many of you guys want to not have to work your ass off till the day you die?
Yes.
Yeah?
Amen.
No, and so here's the reality. Since especially, even before COVID, but since COVID, there has been a lot of uncertainty about what's going on planet Earth. Has anyone else felt that besides me? And if there's one thing that is absolutely certain is, I want you to write this down, is the word inflation. And if you're watching live, drop it in the chat box. It's inflation. Inflation is simple. It's where your dollars buy less today than what they could 12 or 24 months ago. And if you're not generating more dollars, that means you're getting poor every single day. Does that suck or does that suck?
That sucks. Yes.
Right, so just real quick about me. And first of all, thank you everyone that's here. Thank you for the camera crew over here. Thank you for Amanda. Thank you for Ray. Thank you for, tell me your name again, I can't remember. Kimber. And then thank you for Kesley. Yes, woo! Everyone give her a hand. I know you could do other things. We all have a busy life today. And so let's get the most out of this. So my background real quick is I've been in business for 16 years and failed miserably at first to where 16 years flash forward, I have a brand that's through Canada and the US, and we help realtors grow their business. We sell real estate, we invest in real estate, and overall, we help people have better lives. Cool? That's it in a nutshell. I remember the first time, though, that I heard about financial freedom, and real quick definition of that is where your leveraged residual income pays for your desired lifestyle. Meaning you work because you choose to, not because you have to. Think about that for a second. If you didn't have to work, like if you stopped working for 90 days today, what would happen financially? Would you be fucked? Or would you be able, right? And that's where most people are. And so what we want to be able to create is a world that money gets dropped in your bank account every single week at the least, but ideally every single day. Would that be cool? It was like, even if it was like $100 like extra thrown at you today, right? And so when I get these emails that said, oh, here's another $8.95, here's $10,000, here's $20, I'm like, thank you, angels of prosperity, every single time. But it comes consistently. And there are two major factors that make that happen. Number one, cash flow management. So in the chat, write down cash flow management. On your paper, write down cash flow management. If you cannot manage $1, you're never going to be able to manage $1 million. That's just the reality of it. The second second part, is called tax-free wealth. How do you pay less in taxes? So one of the interesting things, if we look back to 1990 roughly, we only had about $1 trillion or $2 in debt as a country. We fast forward to 2008, when President Obama took, we had about $8 trillion. When we get to 2012, in his second term, we went to about, I think we were at $10 trillion at that point. Then by the time today, anyways, long story short, $28 trillion in debt. From 1990 to today, our country is $28 trillion in debt. In the last 12 months alone, the United States has put an extra $8.2 trillion into circulation alone. You can't even fucking count that high. Okay? So if more dollars are in existence today, what is the dollars in your bank account worth? Shit. So here's the lesson. Write this down. Too much cash is trash. Cash is trash. Meaning you got to be able to get your cash into assets. So let's determine what an asset is versus a liability. Cool? Asset. Very simple. Thank you, Ray, for the participation. Asset is very simple. It's something that puts money into your pocket, meaning it goes and pays you over and over again. A liability is very simple. Something that takes money out of your pocket. It just takes it out. So one of the most controversial assets and liabilities today, and this is going to be contrary to what realtors say, that is talked about is your house. Your house is not an asset. Why? Because literally you have to pay the bank just to live there. You've got to take care of the yard. You've got to pay for the utilities. That is something that takes money out of your pocket. We clear on that, right? But you could take that same real estate property and then you could use it as an Airbnb, and now people are paying you to be there. And now that's something that puts money in your pocket. Got it? Got it. Yes? So the challenge is why people are getting more poor today than ever before is because of inflation, plus you just don't know how to manage your money. It's that simple, okay? Think about this. What governs your life? Money, relationships, and health. If you're not healthy, you're dead. If you don't have money, you can't do shit. And if you don't have great relationships, then you're pretty fucking miserable or you're by yourself and lonely. True or true? But if you go through elementary and if you were crazy enough to spend a bunch of money in college, which is the worst bubble on planet Earth today, what point did they teach you about money, about health, or about your relationships? They didn't. Think about it. We have more debt than ever before. We have more divorces and bad relationships than ever before. And we have a lot more cancer and diseases than ever before. Simply because we haven't been taught those. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole reason why, but I think it's a complete fucking sham on the elites, okay? They want power. If you look at the olden days of how the world was built, it was built on manufacturing. It's built on building tangible goods. The most wealthy people on the planet, they built something. Whereas today, it's all about asset movement. And so people are pretty much stealing from the poor to keep them and their friends richer. Are we clear on that? Yeah. So you have to be very clear on how do you actually not get fucked over. That's the real secret today. Who wants to learn how to not get fucked over? Yeah! Woo! Yes. Got it. So what we first have to begin to do is manage our money. Manage our what? Money. And so what we want to look at is every time we get $1, we want to divide it into what I call buckets or accounts. Okay? The very first bucket that you guys need to get into is what's called a financial freedom account. And now, this is pretty far back for the live stream, so I just do it for my own self, but you write it down. Financial freedom. Okay? Financial freedom account is what is called the pay myself first account. Now, really in today's world, we probably need to be putting somewhere around 20 to 25% of every dollar we earn into this account. This is money that we're going to buy assets with. We're going to buy assets with. Problem today is, though, very few people are putting even 10% aside. And if they are, they're using highway robbery systems such as 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, and all these things that you're not actually making these returns because of the motherfuckers that have their hands in your money stealing through, and I'm going to say this, commissions. I know realtors love commissions and they are worth it. However, when you look at the compound interest of investing into a mutual fund, or if you look at investing into a 401k or an IRA, the amount of fees charged over the life of that money is fucking ridiculous because the name of the game is about assets under management. They just want a bunch of assets under management and they're going to get fucking rich. It doesn't mean you get rich though, right? So, first step, put money aside in your financial freedom account. Second step we'll talk about in a little bit, which is financial literacy. You got to know where to spend this money, what assets to buy. Cool? Second bucket that you got to put your cash into, bucket number 2, is what's called your education account. Write that down, education account. Unfortunately, there's been confusion, and I love what Mark Twain said, is don't let school get in the way of your education. Oh, we got new guests. Is that food? Is that lunch? Oh, it's German. It's German. German, you let me down. I thought it was food. So the second one is education. This is where we spend money on becoming even better in these 3 areas that I talked to you about. Becoming even better with your money and investing. Become even better with your relationships, especially high-risk relationships, whether it's in a relationship with a spouse or a parent or a coworker or a business person where there's more on the line to lose, right? And then the third is investing into your health. What I don't want to see people do is stop investing in fucking college unless you're going to be a doctor, unless you're going to be an attorney. If you look at all the politicians today, what are they? They fucking doctors and attorneys. All they're doing is using their fucking, their clout to be able to make poor decisions for the country today. That's exactly what's happening. It's a pissing match. And so what I would recommend that you do is understand, hey, if this is about money and it's about health and it's about relationships, go find the people, the mentors, the programs that are living the life that you want and fucking pay them money to tell you exactly how to fucking do it and apply it in your life. It's that simple, okay? So that's the education account. I recommend somewhere around 10%, but even if it's $1, start with that. Put money aside every time you get paid. Third bucket that we want to go into, it's what I call the give account, okay? Now, the give account is where you give because you want to prime the energy of money. Money is energy. What is money?
Energy.
Energy. That's all it is. And so we want to make the flow of energy and money come through us. And these buckets that we're creating is the filter system. It's the filter system of energy. That's what we're doing. So write this down. And we attract what we want in our life. But this is important, second part of this. We also attract what we don't want in our life. And it's 100% dependent on our energy. Okay, so who wants more money? Raise your hand.
Woo!
Let me hear if you want more money.
Woo!
So if you want more money in your life, you got to vibrate the energy that's going to allow that. And part of that is you got to respect money. You got to understand how money fucking works. And if you can't respect it, you're not going to attract more of it. So let me tell you about 2 different types of individuals that we see out in the world today. One is if they look rich and they've got a nice car and they've got a nice house and they've got like vacations a lot, they probably ain't that fucking rich, especially if they're in their 20s or 30s. It's just the reality of it. It's because they're spending all their money on liabilities. I'm not saying that no one's not rich in that age group, but the reality, they probably aren't. And then most of the people, they're funding this. In fact, you're seeing this today. Cash out refinances to pay off bad debt. Cash out refinances to pay off the boat. Is the boat an asset or a liability?
Liability.
Right. Could you make it an asset? Yes, today you can with recreational share. It's one of the hottest industries to invest into, right? Like glamping or renting out your RV. But most people don't do that. Most people, they go get a loan and then they pay interest rate and they borrow and their thought is, oh, it's only 4%, right? Who's done that before? Mm-hmm. Right, but then they get 4%, 5%, 20% interest and all this shit, and how much interest is paying them, okay? Then there's this other person. They don't look rich. They don't drive a nice car even. An average Honda at best, right? They don't live in something spectacular. They're nice, they're clean, right? But on the back end, what you can't see, the bottom of the iceberg, is they got fucking assets paying them over and over again. And those people are hard to identify. They're hard to see. But I can tell you those that are gloating over how like awesome their life is are probably the most broke people. Cool? So you have to find out who physically has the results that I want. And the results that I want, very simple. I want the results that pay me over and over again. I want fucking rental properties. I want Airbnbs. I want Bitcoin. I want gold and silver. I want to make sure I own stocks that are increasing in value and paying dividends. I want to own businesses that pay me over and over. I want insurance that I can become my own banker, right? And I have to go find out, hey, who has that? And so the great way to do that is you get around people, proximity is power, and you ask them. And if they're willing to share with you what they're doing, awesome. If they're not willing to share, then they're probably not actually doing anything worth knowing about. Cool? Awesome. So back to the give account, because I got off on a tangent. We have to prime the energy. Prime the what?
Energy.
Energy. And so what I recommend is 5%. And how you give it out is a couple different ways. One is I love to take my family to dinner, like my mom and dad, or do things like that, right? The other way I like to do it is like, here's an example. A couple weeks ago, I just sent my mom $250 on Venmo, said, hey, I love you, appreciate you. I know you do so much to support me and the girls. That's one way of giving away money. The other way is like I've dropped like things in with my organization or team, or I'll send money to them and say, hey, here, go get lunch or whatever. Another way is I love to give to the Utah Food Bank. 1 in 8 children in the state of Utah go hungry today. So that's one place I love. The other place for me is Operation Underground Railroad, and that contributes against stopping child sex trafficking, which is a big problem in our world. Woo-woo! Well, not the fact that it happens, but the fact there's an organization that we can contribute to. The other thing is I love to give to Mormon fast offerings because I know that goes to local people that maybe are out of work, or they need some food, or they need help with their mortgage, but it goes to my local community. That's where I like to give the most. And then the other thing that I have is my own nonprofit organization that I give towards, and usually we funnel that money to those types of things. But what I don't love to do is just give all my money at one time. I love to give $50 here, $250 there, $500 here, so that I can keep the energy moving a lot. Okay, so one of the things I do every single week is I make sure, okay, how much am I going to give this week, and who am I going to give it to, and then I actually schedule a time and go do it. I always do it with purpose and intention. Cool? Awesome. So give account, put 5%. You can do more if you're like in the church and stuff, and like 10% is your thing. I would actually recommend that 10% is like just what your membership fees are basically, right? If you're into the church and tithing is your thing. But if you want to contribute and really give, you need to give beyond that, right? You need to give probably an additional 5% beyond that, okay? Next one is what's called your play account. What's it called?
Play account.
Play account. Oh shit, dropping shit. Play account is, depending on what your money personality type is, we won't go through that. You could be a saver, where you like to hoard money and you like to put it in the savings account. You like to see it kind of like be a safety nest. Like that's one way. A spender is you spend it all on just, you don't even know where. You just spend it when you get it. An avoider is your head so far up your ass you don't even know what's going on in your money, right? Another one is called a money monk. Like money's not spiritual, right? And the reality is money's very spiritual. But money monk might be, well, like, hey, if I make money or if I attract money, then I can't go to heaven or something crazy like that, right? And then the fifth one is called the amasser. The amasser. This is where you just want to build a fortune and you're kind of obsessed with it. So we're not just one type of these, but we have a few of these in us. And what we want to be able to do is balance these out quite well, right? And so depending on what you are, like if you're a saver, it's going to be very difficult for you to use your play account. Like you don't like to spend money on yourself. Anyone like that besides me? I'm that. German's like that. And whereas a spender, you probably want to like throttle this account, because how many of you like, who likes to just spend money? Like you shouldn't even know that it's going out, right? And so you got to identify. So I recommend 5 to 10% on your play account. But here's the rule of that. You got to spend it every month, right? If you got $1,000 in there, you got to spend that $1,000. You got $50, you got to spend that $50. What are you going to spend this money on? Well, maybe you want to go get if you're a lady, you want to go to the spa, get your hair did, get your lashes did. I love to spend it on crepes and coffee for whatever, that's my thing, right? Or just like random shit on Amazon that I think I want. So I'll just hop on there and be like, oh, I got money. I'm going to buy this out of my play account. Like one thing example, I just bought a new electric pump for my paddleboard because I freaking hate this pump, right? And it was like $140. I got like a really nice fucking pump, but it came out of my play account. You follow me here?
Yes.
Awesome, cool. Next account is what is going to be your long-term savings for spending. Long-term savings for spending. Okay, this is where you're going to put money aside for maybe you want to buy a new car, which is what? Liability. Could it be an asset?
Could.
Possibly, maybe. I know there's an app called Turo that people lease out. I've never used it. But what does a liability do? Takes money out of my what?
Pocket.
And what does an asset do? Puts money where? In my pocket, okay? So long-term savings for spending is we're going to allow ourselves to do a little dream spending or buy some liabilities. That's really the purpose of this. Like maybe you want to save up a down payment for a house, or maybe you want to like save up to go on that vacation, or maybe you want to put money aside for your children's wedding in the future, something like that. That's going to be long-term savings for spending, something bigger. But it's also going to be for those crazy emergencies that we don't know about, right? You remember like when you get a flat tire or that cavity you don't really want to deal with, but you got to deal with it anyways, or something like that, right? It's going to be for that. And then a third way that I'm going to recommend that you use it is pay off bad debt. Bad debt is high interest, RC Willie shit, credit card shit, installment loans, 20% interest, stuff that's killing your wealth. Okay? So that's the other thing you'll use long-term savings. So I recommend about 10% of every dollar you earn goes into that. The next one that we're going to do is called your necessities account. Okay, necessities account. Now, necessities account this is the day-to-day living. Now, this is a reasonable rent or mortgage payment. This is a reasonable car payment. This is utilities. These are like the groceries, the things that like we need to live. What we don't want to do is get unreasonable and uncrazy with this to where we're living outside of our means. A very simple formula is live within inside of your means. That doesn't mean you need to be trapped. It means learn also how to make more fucking money so your means can increase. Who's with me on that? Yes? So it doesn't mean like I really hate it. Like when anyone says that like I'm going to Financial Peace University, great, you go fucking sleep in your old minivan in your shit bed, and I'm going to Financial Freedom University that I get paid over and over again no matter what. I learned how to make debt my friend, right? Because that's what the global economies are doing. They're making debt their fucking friend. Make debt your friend to buy more assets. That's what you should do with your debt. Today, rates are incredible if you're buying properties, if you're buying different assets, okay? So your necessities account, now here's the trick with this. I recommend you get this to 50 or 55% or less of every dollar you earn. If you can live on less, like Kesley, you're freaking young and shouldn't have many responsibilities yet, like fucking get that as low as you can. Because what happens is you start to get older and you get like fucking kids. Anyone heard of those things? And next thing you know, you got a couple pets and shit and like you gotta go to the vet. It's like your responsibilities get bigger with time. So the younger you are, keep that as low as possible. Low as possible. A great example is, I know you know Cody Barton and these guys know Cody Barton. A great example is Cody Barton. He started managing his cash flow at 22. Now he's a multimillionaire at 27 simply because he followed that. You okay over here? We all good? We'll get that fixed later. Thanks. Awesome. Cool. So necessities. And the seventh account is what I call country donations or your tax account. Now, here's very simple understanding. If you work as a W-2 employee, you're the highest tax motherfucker in the United States and almost every country. And I don't know if you're watching this, what's going on in Washington, what's going on in Canada, I don't even know the capital of Canada, but what you see fucking Prime Minister Justin Trudeau doing, what you see these ridiculous leaders doing, they're fucking wasting your tax dollars. So if you wonder why the middle class and the poor are getting even more poor, two reasons. One, they charge the fuck out of you on taxes. Two is they're inflating the dollars that you get to keep. They're making it worth less by printing more. In fact, if we follow this trajectory, by the year 2035, we'll be probably $500 trillion in debt as a country, if it continues at the trend, which I don't see how it's going to reverse, which means probably by the year 2035, 2040, you'll see the end of the US dollar. It will crash. And every fiat currency in planet Earth has always ended, okay? And how it's happened is, take the Roman Empire, for example. Everything was traded in silver and gold coins. And the Caesar, the Roman Empire at the time, they would start to shave the edges of the coins and they would start to keep more of the silver and gold for themselves. That's why you see in modern times that the coins, when there used to be more coins before we went all digital, they had an imprint on the side. That was so that they could stop. But here's what the government did with time in Roman times, is they then started to carve out the middles of the coins and replace them with a lesser valuable metal like lead, and they kept all of the money for them and their friends, which ultimately was the demise of the Roman Empire, which did crash. We started seeing that here in the United States years ago. In fact, the very first was a copper penny. I don't know if you know this, copper pennies are no longer made of copper anymore, right? It's because the cost of it is so much more money than it's worth. So you're starting to see the metals in coins decades ago start to be debased. And in fact, until I think it was 1973, somewhere around there, it was illegal to own gold in the US. And we were taking off the gold standard in 1971 so that they could start to print more currency. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, where the fuck does money come from, currency? Yeah. Where does it come from? Does anyone even know?
Where does it go? What is it?
Right. So there's no intrinsic value when it comes to dollars. It's all a belief system. I'll give you an example. 8.2 trillion that came and was printed in the last year after COVID. It came to pass through what are called, if you ever hear the word stimulus bill or bailouts. Stimulus or bailouts. That really is code word for you're getting ass fucked by your government, okay? So write that one down. And what happens is they will go ahead and go to what's called the Federal Reserve Bank, okay? Which, by the way, is not federal, and there's no reserves in it. It doesn't even exist as far as an entity inside of the country. It's what's called a central bank. And so they will go and issue currency to governments in exchange for T-notes or treasury bills. And these are actually giant fucking IOUs that say, hey, we're gonna pay you back. Here's the real question you should be asking. Who fucking runs the Federal Reserve Bank? Who owns that? Amen. Simple version, it's the elites. It's the wealthiest families on planet Earth. Okay? If you wonder why there's so much commotion on planet Earth today, it's because of the fucking global system is being challenged at the highest level, which is actually a good thing. It's being rocked, okay? So then what happens is they then go put the money, or the currency is really what it is, not even money, it's currency exchange, into the system by putting money into banks. And then banks then reach out, like we've seen this last round, of business owners, and they did PPP loans, they did EIDL loans, they sent you $1,400 check in the mail, right? They did those type of things so that you would go spend the money, because that's how the economy works, is through transactions and spending. But now there's way more currency, and guess who also got a lot of that? Well, the bankers and their bonuses and the commissions that they're charging on Wall Street, and like most of it is just about keeping the wealthy wealthy and keeping the average average. You follow me here? Because I'll give you a prime example. Like, I do pretty well. I got $150,000 EIDL loan. Whereas, I don't know about you, Kesley, did you get that 150 grand from the government? You didn't get that? They gave you what, like $1,400 a couple times? Fucking really changed your life, didn't it? The majority of people did not get that much. Like, you cannot live off of that little of amount. And so, it's time to stop waiting for the government to help us here. And you do that. Fuck, what the fuck's going on? You do that by first managing your cash flow. Second is by putting down and getting down your tax bill as much as possible. So in order to do that, you can't be W-2. It's just never going to happen as a W-2 employee. Okay? In fact, even sole proprietors are taxed nearly as high as a W-2. But the way you do it, it's taught in one of the famous books of all time, which I recommend you read it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is called in what's called the cash flow quadrant. So you've got the self-employed here, you've got the employed here, you've got the business owner here, and the investor over here, okay? So this side of the quadrant pays a shit ton of taxes. These people pay way less in taxes. Why? Because they get to spend money pre-tax. Here's another example. Cody Barton, great friend of mine, mastermind partner in our academy, and here's what he did the end of last year. Because they were going to pay so much in taxes, he went into the investor quadrant and they bought another $1 million worth of real estate with almost no money down, and they would be able to write that off through depreciation. Through residential, I believe it's 27 years of depreciation they can write off, but they write it off all up front, right? So therefore it drops their tax bill. So remember, there was a big debate with Donald Trump. He wouldn't release his taxes. They said he paid almost nothing in taxes. Well, no fucking, you're kidding, he didn't. Like, he's smart, right? Like, that's what he's doing. But if you look at the other presidential candidate, and back in 2012 or whenever it was with Mitt Romney, who's a fucking flip-flopper, he does the same thing. Like, he did release his taxes, and he's doing the same exact thing. So that's what the wealthy do. So you got to start playing the game the way the wealthy do it. And the way you do that is you use this bucket, the education bucket, and you get educated on how to do it. The way you don't get educated, anyone tells me they took a financing class in school can go fuck themselves, because what they're teaching in public systems today of college and even high school, elementary, they're teaching you to fall into the system of being a worker bee, of being a slave into the system. So you've got to go away from that, okay? So that is the top part. So when we look at tax-free wealth, there's one thing we want. Well, first of all, we want to be legal, but tax-free wealth is about using the incentives. They're called tax incentives to incentivize you to spend your money a specific way as a business owner. So, you don't have a business, go figure out how to start a fucking business quickly. Network marketing companies are a dime a dozen. It's a great way to get started, okay? We look at that. You then need to hire, through that, a CPA and a tax advocate that can make sure that they're up to date with what the tax incentives are. Because at the end of it, you sign the tax form. You're responsible for it. The government will come after your ass if they're not getting paid. It's up to you. Any questions so far?
No.
Here's what I want everyone to do. Number one, write down your biggest takeaway so far. Okay? Go ahead, write it down. Biggest takeaway. And I'm going to play this music in the background while we're waiting.
So Colton,
Yeah.
I have one thing. Oh, Dustin, who's both of our friends and CPA, I'm W-2'd as a business owner.
Me too, to an extent.
So you are as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was told by him that,
You have to take a reasonable W-2. Listen, you're not going to be able to get completely away from W-2.
That's why I'm like, you have to
For
be
sure.
W-2.
But how many people, like
illegal.
mortgage officers are a prime example. They suck right now. They make $300,000-$400,000 as a W-2. They're giving half of that back to the government. Whereas as a business owner, if I do $300,000-$400,000, I don't have to pay half back in taxes because I can take a $50,000 a year W-2. That's a reasonable wage as a realtor, right? In that category, if that was the scenario, the example. But depending on what business you're in, that's going to fluctuate.
Got it.
And then
That's why you have multiple income streams.
Well, you have to diversify.
Right, and the way you diversify is by getting cash flow management.
Right.
And then moves to the next thing, asset management. Okay, so let's hear from you guys and gals. Number one takeaway. Cassidy, go.
My number one takeaway would be recognizing what I'm spending and if it's an asset or if it's a liability. I think putting it into those terms makes it more serious for me.
Yeah.
So I can really be like, okay, wait, I don't need this. This is just going to take from me.
Right, so just really being aware when I spend money, am I buying an asset or am I buying a liability?
Yeah.
Great, now it's not to say don't ever buy liabilities, it's just make sure buy way more fucking assets, right? And one of the great ways to do that you can start with is by tracking what you spend. Having a spending tracker, or I like to call it a budget. I like to call it a budget.
Savings and spending.
Right.
Actually, the way I like
And
to
if you look
phrase
at me,
it.
like anytime I go out, like I'll buy Starbucks, I'll refill because I like to buy it on my app because then I can get more points and I get my free one, right? Same thing with using my Amex so I can fly free, right? But I'll go in, I'll swipe this open, I'll click onto this, my app, and then my notes on my phone. Oh, look, I spent $15 on a fucking venti latte over at whatever the fuck it's called. I plug it into my Play account because I don't really need a fucking $15 blonde, right? Like, and so I'll put it in the moment, and then twice a month I'll go in and I'll transfer it from my accounts into my spending account, which is my operating account.
He literally tracks everything that he does, though. I mean, it's in his.
You have
We've
to.
been on trips, and every single receipt goes straight in there.
And it's not because I'm naturally this way, by the way. I just realized what rich people fucking do is they track their spending in with a cash flow management system. Cool? Tell me again, Kimber?
Kimber,
What's
yeah.
your takeaway, Kimber?
Cash is trash.
Yeah! Woo!
And
Now
double
let's-
down, fuck you.
Yeah, let's add to that a little. Too much cash is trash.
Yeah,
But you
right.
do need cash flow, which is the oxygen of your business,
Right.
But I do believe we're getting closer to where there'll be more and more transactions not happening in US dollar, right? You're already starting to see it before the crypto crash a couple of weeks ago. You already be able to borrow against it and spend at Starbucks on your crypto. So you're starting to see less and less of that, like requiring the dollar. Go ahead.
Did you see that Venmo is now starting to allow crypto?
Oh, I'm sure that they are. You know, Robinhood does, Cash App, you can invest in the stock market or crypto through it. So all they're doing is creating a portal to be able to trade. They are a little bit slower and their fees are different. I don't recommend using Venmo to buy crypto, but they are wanting to get involved with it because it's becoming bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
For sure, makes sense. Cool, awesome. Amanda, biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is to track exactly what is going on in each of those categories.
Yeah, and now it's not fun, right? Absolutely not fun at all. It sucks so much wanky, right? But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And success is not hard work.
Right.
How many of you guys have been told, you know what, hard work, that's the secret to success? I know a lot of hard fucking working people that are broke. I know a lot of people that don't work hard that are rich. But it is a willingness to do what you don't feel like doing. And it is easier to binge on Netflix. It is easier to get drunk or high on 25th Street. It is easier to do other shit that doesn't manage your cash flow.
Yes.
You follow me here? So remember, proximity is power. Surround yourself with people that are doing the shit you want to do. Stop spending fucking time with people that are not doing what you want to do and they're doing opposite of what you want. Great place to find the people doing what you don't want to do. Who wants to know where that's at? A great place to find that is at a bar, at a club, like doing those types of things. That's where you'll find the broke people. In fact, even if you look, great example is, we all know who Kobe Bryant is, one of the best all-time basketball players. And I'm sure a lot of you know who Allen Iverson is. By far, I think the most talented player to ever be drafted. But if you look at how Iverson's career ended and Kobe Bryant's career ended, it's night and day difference, right? And one of the stories that Allen tells is after their first game they played in LA, they went to dinner before the game, Kobe and Allen. And Allen asked Kobe asked Allen, let me reverse that. Allen asked Kobe what he was doing after the game. What do you think Kobe said?
Going home or going to practice.
Said he was going back to the gym to watch game film. He's going back to work on his craft. And then so Kobe said, hey, what are you doing after the game? And Allen said, I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to the club. And that pattern was the 1 degree different that changed their entire careers, right? Even if you look at Allen Iverson today, he's probably early 40s. He does not look like he could hop on the court. Clear up to the day that Kobe passed away, because I went to an interview with him maybe 6 months before, and the motherfucker looked like he could go crush it in the NBA Finals still, right? And so it's how you treat yourself, that pattern adds up over time. Cool? Anyone else want to share? Rated!
Inflation is real. If they keep printing money.
What is inflation?
Inflation, yeah.
Yeah.
If they
No.
keep printing money the way they have been,
And it's going to continue.
Yeah.
You know, they just dropped a bomb on what will increase inflation, and they used a magical word, infrastructure, the infrastructure bill. I don't know if you guys know this. People are going to get fucking rich off that bill, but our infrastructure is not going to get that much better. Because infrastructure is a key word to say, hey, let's fuck these people some more, right? And let's keep printing. And it's like, what, another $1 trillion or something? Each time it gets higher and higher. I remember in 2008 crash, when they talked about a $700 or $800 billion bill, we thought that was big. Fuck, man, they've done 8.2 just in the last 12 months alone. Look up Google real quick, U.S. debt clock. You can look up on your phone, U.S. debt clock, and you can literally see that fucker just count like that.
All the time. It's insane.
Okay, let's talk about asset management. Okay? There's 3 major sections of asset management we want to look at. 1, it's a secure bucket. Okay? 2, high risk bucket. And then 3 is a dream bucket. Now, we want to make a lot of money, yes? We want to create wealth, yes?
Yes.
But we also want to enjoy our fucking money here on earth, yes? Because we all know we're going to die one day. So, we need to have a couple different buckets. 1 is a secure bucket. Let's talk about secure. It's very low risk that you'll lose it, okay? Cash is a secure bucket. You're going to not build wealth this way holding cash, but you're probably going to lose it slower than if you put it into Bitcoin at $64,000 right before it dropped to 30, right? So you can see Bitcoin, which I highly recommend you own, but it's high risk. So you want to figure out what percentage of your assets do you want to own in a secure bucket, what do you want in a high risk bucket, and what do you want in your dream bucket? I'll give you an example of all 3 of these. Secure bucket for me right now is my whole life insurance policy. Got a couple $100,000 of cash value in there. Very secure. It's growing at 5%. I can borrow against it to buy other property. I can pay myself back. It's very unlikely that I'll lose it, but it's growing steady. Okay. High risk bucket. Ethereum and Bitcoin are very high risk investments that I own, but I know that in order to get where I'm going to go, I got to be in the high risk spaces, and I have to control my emotions when it drops. Which, if you've been around me, when shit drops, I get completely fucked, right? Like I lose my shit just a little bit, right? And I get fixated. Yeah. So, and then a dream bucket example for me is I'm spending about $2,600 a week right now building my 1931 Model A Ford, restoring that. So that's going to probably cost about 50, 60 grand by the time I'm done. And guess what? That's a dream bucket. That's not going to make me a bunch of money. Okay? So you got to understand like how you want to govern this. Now, I recommend the younger you are, get way more in the risk bucket. Way more in the risk bucket. Okay? And when you start to have children, you can start to throttle that back into the security bucket. I'll give you another example of security bucket. My real estate's actually very secure because I own less than 50% of what it's worth on all of my portfolio. Several of them are free and clear. A handful of them might be a little bit higher, but the overall average is 50% loan to value. Now, if I get to where I owe 70% loan to value, like 30% equity, 70% loan, that would be considered high risk. So anything 50% or below, secure bucket for real estate. Any 50% or higher is going to be a high risk bucket. Okay, I've made a lot of money in real estate. Okay, so what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to also write down what percent do you want in your secure bucket, what percent do you want in your high risk bucket, what percent do you want in your dream bucket. I recommend if you don't have a lot of assets in general, start the dream bucket smaller, get your high risk, a little bit higher, and get your secure bucket lower. Right now, what my buckets are formulated as is about 5% in my dream bucket, and about 50% in my high risk bucket, and about 45% in my secure bucket. Now that's a very conservative between the three. But then I've got friends where they've got like 80% in their high risk bucket, and they've got 15% in their secure, or 10% secure and 10% in dream bucket, right? So you decide for you how risk averse. If you got a lot of kids and you got like a family, probably want to throttle back your risk a little bit. If you're like single and you got nothing really like other responsibility besides feeding you, I'd fucking go really heavy on that high risk. Cool? And we're gonna go wrap it up with one more thing, is we want to talk about what I believe the 6 major asset classes are. Like if you're going to put a secure, a high-risk bucket, what are you going to put them into? What are you going to buy with it? Now write this down. If you have 5 or more uncorrelated investments, you reduce your risk by 50%. You mean the risk of losing, right? If you have 15 or more uncorrelated investments, which is very difficult to come by, you reduce your risk by 80% of losing, okay? So we want to reduce risk. We want to look at asymmetrical. An asymmetrical investment is this, where if I invest it, like the risk of me losing it is low, but if I'm right, I make a fucking ton of money. Who wants to have very little risk with a high upside? That's our goal, is to find those. Now, they're not always easy to find. Now, a very simple example of a great asymmetrical investment is buying nickels. Right? Why is that? Because the cost of nickel is getting more, of the value of nickel is getting worth more and more. Pretty soon we're going to pass like we saw with what happened with the penny. The amount of copper inside of a nickel is going to be worth more than 5 cents. So when that happens, then you're going to start to see like an 8-cent nickel instead of a 5-cent nickel. So if you buy nickels, the odds are that it's going to be worth less than 5 cents is pretty much zero. Like you can't lose on that investment. But the odds are that it's going to eventually be worth more is pretty high. So that's a simple asymmetrical investment. Now I don't personally buy nickels. I use that as an example, but you could use that, right? Here's another asymmetrical investment. It's 2012. Bitcoin's worth $400. If I put $400 in there, yeah, I might lose the $400, but it's not going to kill me. It's not a huge risk. But what's that $400 purchase of Bitcoin worth today? Now, usually asymmetricals, they take 10 to 15 years to mature. So you want to find those types. That's real investing. Okay, that's real investing. Okay? So there's asymmetrical investments out there. I'm not going to go into details what they are, but let's take a look at the asset classes. Asset class number 1 is cash. Although too much cash is trash, you still need some cash. Now I hear a lot of people talking about, you know what, like fucking I don't trust the banking system, I don't trust the government right now, so I'm putting cash in my safe. That's a horrible fucking idea. Because if shit hits the fan, no one's fucking caring about your paper dollars. Horrible idea, right? So like the other day, someone was telling me they got like 60 grand in their safe. I'm like, that is a horrible fucking idea. Like just terrible, because your cash is just getting worth less. And if what you're saying actually happens, it goes to zero, right? Like you understand that? But although you need to have cash. Now I recommend today about 15%, or if you want to be a more conservative, 25% of all of your investments be in cash. 15% to operate your life, and probably 10% set aside to buy an opportunity that comes up like an asymmetrical investment, okay? Second that we want is called equities. Equities are like stocks, bonds. Don't buy bonds because they're fucking dead right now. But stocks, life insurance, something like that. That's where you own a paper asset. Okay, you want to have a percentage in that. Next is cryptocurrencies. Crypto has now become its own class. It's different than equities in my opinion. And me personally, my target is 10% of everything in crypto. Some people say as high as 25%. I think there'll be a day that there's a lot of people that'll be close to almost all of their assets in cryptocurrencies, okay? So cryptocurrency is gonna be Bitcoin, it's gonna be Ethereum. There's others out there. One of the most famous ones lately has been Dogecoin, okay? I don't recommend you buy Dogecoin because there's nothing to back it up, right? So before you go buying a bunch of cryptos, you need to take your education account, you need to inform yourself on, well, why am I buying? What's my strategy? What's my plan? I need to stage to it and why I'm doing it. Me personally, I buy Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I have some smaller in some really risky asymmetrical possibilities. I won't lose a ton, but if I'm right, I'll make a lot on some of them. I stay mainly to some more stable coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum because I believe that Bitcoin is now a hard asset that with time, it's just going to keep being worth more and more. Here's a prime example. You could buy, I don't know, Bitcoin today for what, 35,000, 40,000. Doesn't mean you have to spend all of that. You can buy sats or partials of that. So you can put 500 bucks in or whatever. Like my sister buys 30 bucks a week, right? Just get started. But the point is, I think by the year 2031 to 2035, I think you'll see a $10 million Bitcoin, which means there's got a long upside to go with it, right? But it's not all because it's going to be worth that much. I also think by the year 2030 to 2035, $10 million will be like $1 million today. So you'll see what $10 million is just worth way less. Cool? After cryptos is my favorite, where I've made a lot of my fortune, which is in the real estate market. Okay? Real estate is great. Right now, one of the best things is freaking Airbnbs, vacation rentals. You're seeing more and more people want to own those. If you remember growing up, who played Monopoly? Anyone play Monopoly? Yeah. What was the goal? It was to get Boardwalk, Parkway, and get those red hotels on there. You now have a real opportunity to own real hotels through Airbnbs, okay? But also owning rental properties. You know, I started with condos. I remember buying them as little as $35,000. My first one, I think it was 50 grand back in the day when I didn't even have to put money down. I didn't have to prove income, anything. I wish I would have bought more. Today, those are worth, one's under contract for 175 grand. So you do the math from 35 to 175 in 10 years. That's a pretty damn good investment, right? So real estate, but there's two types of way you invest as well in all investing. One is through capital gains. That's where you buy and you're going to see the inflation take it up and you're going to make money that way. The other is cash flow, something that pays you over and over again. I want the cash flow. The upswing is just a bonus. So then you're thinking, well, why buy crypto? Why buy gold and silver, which I'm about to talk about? Because that's what's called a hedge. That's what's called a hedge. One Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. 1 ounce of silver is always 1 ounce of silver. I don't fucking care what the dollar's doing. I own the asset itself. So that's hedging. There's a difference there. Okay? The next is gold and silver. Gold and silver or precious metals. Okay? Had you bought copper 18 months ago, you would have had a 400% return on your investment over the last 18 months. Okay? So copper is a prime example. I think gold and silver is one of the most underlying opportunities for the average person today, specifically silver. You can buy it for 30 bucks an ounce or something like that. Very inexpensive, but buy physical, don't buy paper. And then the final one is business, owning business assets, because that's one of the quickest ways to build, like for one example, one of my companies just got a $100,000 offer for 10%. So now that puts an evaluation of that $1 million company, okay? So that's how you can build upswing like that. Cool? So, but that is, in a nutshell, investing and how you get rich. But a couple of key notes. Inflation is coming your way. So don't have too much cash. And understand the government is not here to help you. And the entire financial system is heading towards the biggest crash we've ever seen. So be aware of that, okay? Number one takeaway, write it down real quick. Write it down. Biggest takeaway, everyone. Okay, does everyone have it written down? All right, let's have a couple of shares. Amanda, go.
I need to get diversified in all of that. Basically, I need to start investing into safe places. I think part of mine is not being educated enough to understand exactly what I'm getting into, and I think it's time that I get a little bit more educated so that I can get in and play the game, because I do feel like the dollar is crashing soon. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like next week or anything,
No.
but 10 to 20 years is very possible.
Yeah.
One thing I recommend too, and we didn't go into much detail, you want to divide these into percentages,
That's what I was
right?
thinking.
So how much percentage is business, how much is gold? In fact, I don't even count business as one of the percentages at this stage in my career, but I do divide these up, and they all should equal 100%, right? With time, you could, like if you're like own a capital investment company, you're gonna make business a larger percentage of that, obviously.
Right.
Awesome.
I love that.
Cool. A way to get started, to get percentages in all these, pick one and start. I think the easiest, and that I know these guys started with back here, is buy silver. Like you can literally get started with that right away. The next easiest is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. And then the next easiest is get involved in the stock market. Now, what you don't want to do is just go buying random stocks. You want to educate yourself. But I think buy indexes or something like that. Like anything Vanguard's usually pretty good and safe.
Josh has been doing it. He's been becoming very educated. It's kind of like a lane he's been owning because he has a lot of time to study it. He's been doing quite well. I mean, he got like a 400% return on some AMG recently. So I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Like,
Nice.
you know.
Sweet.
But I don't know a lot about it, but I want to get more educated.
Cool. And understand there's multiple ways to invest in stocks. My whole strategy is I buy companies that I think are undervalued and I watch them go up over time. Day trading is not my thing, so you just got to figure out what works for you, right? So, cool. Kesley.
Oh, my biggest takeaway?
Yeah, your biggest takeaway.
Well, still the same one from last time, but like Mandy said, I'm not going to go start jumping into buying stocks. I don't know anything about them, so number one is just getting educated on that, for sure.
Cool.
Good job.
Awesome. Sweet. Kimber.
I think my biggest takeaway is that I need to like retrain my brain to not follow what we've been taught our entire,
yeah.
you know what I mean, and not be scared of the unknown because
Yeah.
of what we've been taught. So yeah, I'm jumping in and I'm ready to like take control of my.
Yeah, the real problem is what we know that just ain't so.
Right.
And there's a reason behind that, because they programmed us to move a certain way. And that certain way actually make us opposite of what we're really after.
Yes.
So it's the brain that will be challenged. We'll finish it up with this, and that's what we're gonna do a breath work, is it's psychological and emotional state is like 85% of this. Manage your psychological and your emotional state. So great takeaway. German.
Yeah, so my big takeaway is start investing more in things that I kind of know more about, because I feel like I have more cash than that I can put more into gold and silver and crypto.
Right. Cool. And that's what's cool is when you start to balance, like, okay, maybe I have 5% gold and silver, but my target's to get to 10, then you can start to have a direction to work towards. And so you'll always want to rebalance. Like one of the things I'm going through right now, who's paid attention to the real estate market? Right. I don't care what you read on Facebook. I don't care what your realtor tells you that we're not in a bubble. We're in a fucking bubble. You just have to look at anything that goes up is going up. How long will it go up? I think we got a few years of this bubble to keep going up, but sooner or later it's not going to keep going up. So what I'm doing is I'm rebalancing, and I'll probably do this at least one or two more times, but I'm refinancing properties, taking cash out, I'm moving some more into crypto, and I'm buying more properties with it. So that's rebalancing. Cool? Sweet. Right.
Just getting clear on the percentages and being more aware of where my money's going is definitely something I want to, is my takeaway from hearing you talk about it.
Awesome. So the final thing that we want to discuss is our emotional state and our financial blueprint. Now, if you guys are like me, I grew up in an awesome family, but we weren't rich by any means. And so my parents couldn't teach me how to do any of this. I don't know if you guys have parents like that. Not that that's a problem, not it's their fault or anything. It's just what I've been gifted with. And I look at an opportunity to learn this and actually apply it as shifting my entire family tree. Yeah. And that's what I'm after. That's what I'm creating. And so how we do that, though, is we have to recognize, and the key word is awareness. Okay, write that down, awareness. We have to be aware of how do we emotionally feel around money, right? How do we emotionally feel around money? So, for example, when I think about buying stocks, how do I feel emotionally? Like, Kimber, how do you feel?
I mean, I'm nervous and it scares me, but I'm excited too, you know what I mean? It's a whole lot of emotions, I feel like.
Right. But let's say, like, what's a healthy food you like to eat?
Salad.
Okay. So let's say you go and get a healthy, delicious salad. Where are you at emotionally when you buy a salad?
I'm happy. I'm like proud of myself.
Right, exactly. So all you have to do is shift your energy or your emotion to be happy and excited when you're buying stock. The reason why is, though, like there's probably a time, if you're like me, that buying a salad didn't you get as happy, as excited as it does now, right?
Yeah, sure.
But then with time, you start to realize how your body feels after you eat a salad versus eating like a big old greasy cheeseburger. And you start to realize, you know what, I like the interest that's paid to me when I eat the salad. And that's how you have to start to look at it, because you weren't taught to eat salads in elementary and high school. I guarantee you that. You were taught a food pyramid, or at least that's what I was taught, and to eat grains, and to eat dairy, and to eat like a portion of vegetables, and like, wait a second, no, actually I don't want to eat a lot of those grains, and I don't want to eat dairy. Like that doesn't serve my body, right? And so just realizing that we have to really question what we are taught, and I would dare say that everything you needed to learn from school, you learned by the 4th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true, and the rest is just
Fluff.
Fluff.
Right. Okay, so what I want you to do is ask yourself to rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with this question. Okay? 10 is absolutely, you're stoked, you feel it, you know it through your core. 1 is, you're like, fuck no, ain't no fucking way. Okay? The question is, money comes to me easily and frequently. Is that a level 10? Like you absolutely would bet your fucking life on it. You just feel great about it, you know it. Or would you rather bet on the way your current brain is, and either one's fine, but awareness is key, that you're like, no, money actually doesn't come to me easily and frequently, right? Rank it on a scale of 1 to 10 real quick. Okay, we're going to ask another question. This is ranking on a 1 to 10. 10 is you resonate with it, 1 is you don't. Okay? So, money grows on trees. Money grows on trees. Is that a 10 that resonates with you? Money doesn't grow on trees, or 1, you're like, actually, maybe money does kind of grow on trees. I know that's a trick question.
It is very tricky. I'm like,
It's all about awareness. There's no score with this. Okay, next question is, I am a money magnet. I am a money magnet. Is that a 10? You totally resonate with that? Money just fucking comes to you and just shows up? Or 1 is like, fuck, I can't seem to keep any money.
Like, can I resonate that if you feel that way, it does happen, but when you don't feel that way, it doesn't happen? Like, well, where?
that's what I was thinking on
Yeah.
on
Sounds like you got a wavering
Yeah,
blueprint
like,
there.
yeah,
I'm
like, I
manifesting the
Right.
money tree.
And then the 4th question is, I can't afford that. 10 is you hear yourself either say it out loud or mentally a lot. 1 is you never say I can't afford it. All right, let's get some feedback here. Kesley, what do you got for your first answer?
My first one was 2 to 3.
2 to 3. And what was that? It was money comes to me easily and frequently?
Yeah.
So your belief is 2 to 3 that it comes to you easily and frequently. Your belief is actually that money is hard to come by.
Yeah.
You follow that?
Yep. it's
Right.
in my mind.
So what I would recommend you start doing is say all the fucking time, money comes to me easily and frequently.
Just
Literally.
repeating it, saying
Money
it.
just finds me.
Yeah.
Money just shows up into my account.
Add it to your morning.
What was the second one?
9 to 10.
What was this?
But I
What?
always-
Money grows on trees.
Oh yeah, money grows on trees. So, or money doesn't grow on trees. Right?
Oh.
Money doesn't grow on trees was a 10. But we might have goofed you.
I think you could feel
Yeah, sorry about that. So does it? Do you think money grows on trees?
No.
Or do you think money doesn't grow on trees?
I mean, it's kind of hard to answer. Money comes from trees.
I love her.
But obviously.
We're getting into it, right? No, I get what you're saying,
Yes.
right? I remember growing up and my parents would say,
I love that.
money doesn't grow on trees, or they would always say, rich people screw people over, right?
Yes.
Right. When I found actually a lot of my wealthy friends, they contribute way more. They just, like, I know how much money I generate in my life and my business, and if I'm giving 5% of that, that's way better than fucking no one giving nothing,
Yeah.
right? I was trying to find something, but I don't see it pop up. Okay, what was the third one that you have?
Mine was 2 to 3 again, but I can't remember.
What
the
was that question? That was the money magnet one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a money
And
magnet.
what was the fourth one?
10.
And what was that question that we asked? Is that
Money
I can't afford that.
Yeah,
I
I can't afford that. So based on that, who can give some feedback to Kesley on where her financial blueprint is and her emotional state around money? Go ahead, Amanda.
I think the feedback for the program that she's grown up with is that money is hard to come by and that you have to work really hard for it in order to maintain it, and easy come, easy go. Maybe is kind of the feedback that I am hearing.
What about you, Kimber? What do you
Well,
think?
yeah, I feel like we all kind of grow up in like a fear of lack
Yeah.
or non-abundance,
Scarcity.
right? Yeah, and that
Scarcity.
we need that. You do have to train your mind to think otherwise. You know what I mean? And you have to work towards that.
Yep.
But as long, once you first are aware of that, that's like the first step.
First step,
right?
yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Awareness is key, remember? So now you're aware of that. How would you rather it be? Like,
I'd rather these all be 10s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
wouldn't it be nice? No, it's cool. So my daughters are 6 and 9 now. Gosh, they're getting so old. And every day when I drive them to school, which I got to drive them clear to Farmington because they go to school at the Challenger School, which isn't free, by the way. It requires money. But as we go on, we're saying declarations. And we're saying things like, money comes to me easily and frequently. I am an excellent money manager, right? Saying those things. Not only that, we do others as well, not just around money. But could you imagine if you were 4 years old, 3 years old, and you heard that from the time you were a baby? Wouldn't it be so much crazy? But now is a chance to switch. So the question is, remember, it's not hard work. It's your willingness to do what you don't feel like doing. So you got to start doing this yourself every single day. Cool? Cool. Kimber, what is yours? What did you write down?
I did 7 on the first one.
Okay.
I feel like I've been way more aware of that lately, that like I can bring in my own abundance. And I see the ching, ching, ching goes the money tree.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
I need to see that TikTok video. I tried to find it.
No,
the other
it's
day.
so good.
It is good.
Once you have it in your head, it will just keep going. I put 5 on the second one because I could see it from both ways. Money is there. It's whether you're willing to like go after or not. You know.
Yeah.
And then I did 6 on the third one, which was what? I'm a money magnet.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know I have room to grow though, so I
Yeah.
will be a 10 soon.
Yes.
And then I did 4 on the last one.
And that one was
That, I can't afford that.
I can't afford that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You know what's
Maybe
funny?
I should say that more often.
You know what's funny? So we'll go to
Maybe not.
we'll
I
go
can't
to
afford it, but
I
I
choose not
should.
to.
I
Yeah.
choose.
I
Make
choose
it
not
a
to
make it
buy
a
this.
positive, not a negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was like, ooh, I kind of like, not that I can't afford it. Should I spend my money on this?
Yeah, that's a different way to do it.
You know.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to do one more. I want you to rank it on. I am an excellent money manager. 10 is 100% you, rock star money manager. 1 is you're so horrible you never even pay attention to it, and your results show.
I'd say like a solid 4.
And remember, what we started today's conversation with is the fact that cash flow management is the very most important step in building wealth. You don't get to buy assets if you don't manage your money. You don't ever get to manage $1 million if you can't manage a single dollar. Everyone cool?
Yeah.
Did you guys learn a bunch?
Yes.
Was it worth it?
Yes.
All right, on your feet, everyone, on your feet.
Oh, here we go.
We're gonna do the ending a little bit differently before we do the breath work. Okay. We're gonna bend over because it feels good to stretch, and then when I go 1, 2, 3, we're gonna go whoa, and then we're gonna finish. Ready? Bend over because it feels good to stretch. 1, 2, 3, whoa! High five someone. High five someone. Thanks everybody. Thanks so much.